chop it to where it's just one continuous thing.
I guarantee you it's not going to happen because I'm doing the editing and I'm putting all this bullshit in.
I'm gonna edit. Are you gonna edit all this in? Like people want to hear this?
Part 2
People are
after
going
this.
to hear this because they need to hear this. You just fucking stood up and you're like, I don't want to do this topic.
Well, you said WWE. I have nothing to say.
Welcome again to another episode of The Ranters, featuring
Newman Taylor.
Moonbeam Hotpants.
Joshua Stone Shepherd.
And Austin Moreno.
We're a member down today because Seth is not feeling well. So before we kick this podcast off, I already said a word we shouldn't use, whatever. We're going to take shots.
Bleep the P word.
Pipe bomb.
What? You're not allowed to say podcast?
Oh, you said it again.
We're trying to stay away from that for whatever reason.
Nobody told me that.
So we're gonna take a shot of tequila with
Taking
lime.
the shot.
Wash down.
Here's to
Salute.
you, Seth.
All right.
You earned it.
And bottoms up.
Woo!
All right.
Okay.
That
Now that we got that out of the way.
loosen us up for this.
A bunch of hair on some grandmother's back.
All right, to start this off, we'll be talking about what we're looking forward to in 2014. It's a whole new year of games, whole new year of machines and everything else that's been announced for this year. And I think there's a lot to be excited for, and vice versa. So, who wants to kick this off?
2014, I'm pretty hype. To me, a lot of the gaming territory is like either rumors or speculation of what I'm interested in, like whether it hasn't been announced yet or it's an announcement of an announcement in the future. But gaming-wise, I'm hyped for PlayStation Now. And movies, I'm very hyped for Captain America.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. You know that Disneyland is actually doing Captain America now pretty soon at the Disney parks.
What?
So they're finally starting to integrate the Marvel universe into Disneyland.
Where are they going
which
to
is
put that?
very
In
interesting.
Tomorrowland?
No, I think he's just gonna have random like pop-ups like here and there, probably like a Main Street or like in like.
So he's not getting like a ride or an attraction?
No, he's not getting an attraction quite yet, but they're starting to implement the idea that they actually own the franchise now, so they're putting their characters into Disney parks.
Okay, so what, he's just going to walk around there?
Yeah, it's pretty much like Mickey Mouse and Yogi.
He's just a
you
new
know?
I
another
think
character.
eventually they'd probably incorporate their own section, like California Adventure or something. Like you might get a
No, what is it?
Marvel section or whatever.
Six Flags. With Warner Brothers and Looney Tunes.
Yeah, but that kind of fits. For some reason, that fits. Like seeing Bugs Bunny at Six Flags, but seeing Captain America in the middle of Disneyland's gonna seem
Yeah,
kinda
but I mean,
weird.
even before Disney owned Star Wars with Star Tours, that just seemed right.
I think I'm too young for that to feel weird, though.
You know what? Though,
I've always known that.
I feel that honestly, the Star Wars universe fits in with Tomorrowland
Yeah.
because a lot of the
It really
architecture
does.
actually matches. But I see what Austin's saying with he'd find it very strange, like say see Captain America in like New Orleans Square or something.
Yeah, because there's no
He
like
just does not
present
fit in.
day
Yeah.
area
Yeah.
of
Marvel's
Disneyland.
theme is very different than the usual family-friendly thing that Disney's been doing, and to start putting Marvel characters around, and then that's already it's kind of against the grain, I guess, of their already established properties that are there.
I'd say it's smart though because they have these kid-friendly properties, and then the adults can still relate to it. But then the teens finally have something, specifically like, oh man, superheroes are great, and it's not all kitty and rainbows.
I thought that was Space Mountain. That's what Space Mountain was for.
Well, yeah, but now they have
And Star Tours.
more to do with it, because that's the market that they wanted, like with acquiring Marvel, that Disney can have that.
They do add that, though. What kind of a attraction would they have? Do they have a ride, or would it be like one of those rail rides where you kind of ride through
Like the
whatever
Buzz
world?
Lightyear, shoot 'em up.
No, I'm thinking more like Star Tours, where it's like you just sit in the
Oh,
thing
you just
and
sit
it's got
and
a
look
video.
at pictures.
They could totally make an Avengers ride like that. Like have it one of the motion simulator 4D adventure rides. Like that would work. But they just have to do it right. and they have to figure out what part of the park to implement it in because it's very difficult to throw an Avengers themed anything in any of the lands because it doesn't really fit in with Tomorrowland per se.
It's really like an Orlando studio kind of thing. If anything, they'd probably put more like the rides, I guess, kind of more like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, they could do it in Adventureland, I guess, because that's generalized, but they kind of have a main theme with Adventureland.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying they'd put it in there. I'm just saying the ride would be kind of like Indiana Jones, where they have stuff going on and the characters kind of pop in and out throughout the ride.
I was thinking more of like Star Toursy, like not get away from the actual traditional track and like stage props and all that. Like I was thinking more of like a full motion, like 4D experience.
I think, essentially, Disney still has a lot to prove with their acquisition of Marvel that a lot of people are still skeptical on. And that's what this kind of boils down to.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Yeah, let's see
what
how
happens,
well
like, the
Disney
next
can
10 years.
incorporate their new franchise with their old franchises.
Yeah.
And I think they can make it work out if they do it right. I mean, Disney overall like hasn't let me down really with their Marvel universe. I mean,
Yeah.
Marvel itself, before Disney even bought it, their writers were kind of getting a little shoddy on the comic book end, but they fixed that with AVX, I think.
Yes.
That's a pretty solid new addition to the Marvel universe, which really helped it start over again. So I think they're doing a better job now. So I kind of like the direction Disney's been going with the Marvel universe. It's been making the movies a lot better. Like, I mean, look at the the Sony and the Fox Marvel movies. They're just not on par with the Disney Marvel movies.
Not
Yeah.
comparable.
Like, they can't compete with Marvel Studios.
No.
Like,
Well, they're a powerhouse, man. I mean, they just have the ability to. They have the manpower and the money to back it.
definitely.
Yeah. Euro 2014, Josh?
Oh, my 2014. Whew, that's there's not a lot that I'm looking forward to in 2014, honestly, in the gaming category. I mean, there is, but there isn't, because a lot of it hasn't been announced yet.
Right.
Like, I'm waiting for E3 right now,
Yeah.
because now all the big names are out there, the consoles are out, and like this should be the E3 to wow us with the games, to show us what these machines can actually do. Because that's usually been the case after the console launches. The next E3 is pretty damn exciting.
Yes.
I feel like we're, like, gaming-wise, most of the hype, we're still writing off whatever was announced in 2013. And there's not a lot of stuff this year that has been announced or anything. Like, I know we're looking forward to this coming out this year, but there hasn't been a lot of, like, like, nothing we haven't already heard last year is, like, exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they haven't released anything to us. Like, yeah, we know Destiny's coming out. It looks great. I'm not gonna lie. I've known about that game for over a year now.
Like, they're still coming out, but that hasn't changed.
They haven't shown me anything new since like last November, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like Watch Dogs is coming out. I've been crammed with Watch Dog information. Like, I think I know the entire game now because I've seen so much information about it.
I feel like, I don't know, like the longer they draw these type of, like Watch Dogs, it came out and it was supposed to be like the big shining like
Launch
display
game.
of what these consoles can do, but they've just dragged it out so long that the hype is dying. Like,
They hyped it up. It's been hyped for like a year and a half now, and like we still haven't even got to play a demo yet.
No, like when PlayStation 4
Is
came
it
out,
out?
there was supposed to be bundles like with Watch Dogs, but literally like a week or so before PlayStation 4 came out, they were like, well, we're pushing the date back, so all the people who pre-ordered that bundle didn't get their game or anything. So that's like, it just shows how like last minute they're like working on it. I don't know if it's a good sign, like if they're putting more polish, or they needed to rethink some things.
I think it was a rushed process to begin with. I honestly, like, they thought of this idea, they wanted to make it great, and they claim that they can make it happen at such a time, and now they're kind of like eating their words, and like it's cross-platform now, so it might be subpar on the Wii U, because I think that's why they're rushing it, because they're trying to make it for the Wii U and the PS3 or the PS4 now. And I think that's ruining the development of the game. They should have just stuck with it as a PS4 exclusive so they could focus on the next-gen aspects of the game. Because honestly, on the Wii U, you're not going to get the next-gen aspects of it, because that game was supposed to be so far superior and advanced than anything. Like, I don't think the Wii U could have supported the proper, like, requirements to, like, display what the game was supposed to be about.
Or even the Xbox One compared to PS4 when it was just a PS4 game. I mean, at this rate, with the delays, it could be another Duke Nukem Forever.
No, I don't think
It's gonna be that bad.
Well, I think
It runs the risk.
I don't think Xbox One's going to do it. Like Injustice, I think Xbox One will be kind of the bar set for even the PlayStation 4 version, because you have to develop for your weakest link. And I know Wii U's there, but that's like kind of on a whole nother
Yeah, they're
level.
gonna make a new game with that. Completely,
Yeah,
almost.
it's going to be toned down even more for
Yeah.
that. So Xbox One's going to kind of be the standard. I think PlayStation 4 will maybe run things better, but there's not a lot of like discrepancies between them. But like for the game, I don't like, because it's taken so long. I feel like I'm a little worried about if it'll turn out the way everyone's expected already.
You know, I think when it comes out, it's gonna be one of those things where it's like it's cool for like an hour, and then you've really done the tutorial, you've done everything, and then it's gonna be like Assassin's Creed style, where you're just doing the same
glorified
thing
tech demo.
over and over again.
That's going to be they have to sell you on what makes this game different than every other.
And you know what? I
sandbox
think
game.
out of all that, I think the Wii U version will be the only one that's kind of different to the market with all the hacking and things, because they're going to use the touchpad if they do it right.
Well,
Yeah.
They're going to use the touchpad, all that right. But the PS4 also has the touch abilities.
Well, the cool thing about Watch Dogs, when it finally comes out, it's going to be the first game that actually utilizes this tablet thing that a lot of games have been talking about recently, where like someone can jump into your game, some friend on your friend list or whatever, and do some things using the tablet instead of actually being connected to a PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's also it's got that riding on the shoulders, because if it comes out and it does like the tablet is just a horrible crappy like add-on, then it's going to paint a bad picture for the games to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Wii U's definitely got to utilize that to its maximum to even make it stand out at all, because graphically it's not going to stand near the next gen console versions.
Yeah, it's always, it
I
should always rely on its gameplay, because it needs to know that it can't match up to the other next gen consoles.
On that note, though, I think the Wii U game could be a better co-op experience, because like you can have someone playing with the Pro controller and then someone helping you out with the tablet.
Because you're kind of forced to use the tablet interface with the Wii U console version, because the tablet is the gamepad.
Right.
So it would implement that version better. So honestly, the Wii U might have an interesting title to look forward to in the future.
If it plays out well.
Yeah, if it plays out well. I mean, a lot of developers have claimed they know how to make a game for the Wii U, and then it's been doo-doo. Look at Zombie U. I was like really excited for that. And I picked it. It was a decent game, but it really grew stale real fast. Didn't have enough going for it.
Any movies you're looking forward to?
The movies I'm looking forward to this year, like you said, I'm looking forward to Captain America. I really am enjoying what the Marvel Studios is doing to the Marvel Universe on the cinematic aspect. I want to see how they... Which one? Days of Future Past? Fox.
When's that
to mention
come out?
that, X-Men Days of Future Past is actually kind of looking pretty decent. It's looking like it might rectify watching X-Men movies again.
Yes.
Because, I mean, honestly, like, all said and done, the Wolverine movie wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't a great movie, but it was a better Wolverine movie than anybody's ever made if you watch the extended cut. But the acting in that movie is awful. Like, let's be honest. But the movie itself kind of followed the Ronin storyline pretty decently.
Oh my God, there's so much about that Wolverine movie.
It's not. I'm not saying it's a great movie, but I'm just saying that it
was better.
It was a better Wolverine movie than the first Wolverine Origins movie was.
Yes.
Let's say that.
Above and beyond.
Other film wise, I'm kind of interested to see how they conclude the Hobbit series.
Yes.
Oh,
They're
that's
not
pretty cool.
concluding it though, right? They broke the last movie into 2 parts.
No,
didn't
the
they?
third one. This is the third one. You're
Yeah.
thinking of Hunger Games.
I thought I heard the Hobbit also was.
No, Hobbit's
No, it's just
3.
gonna be 3.
Just 3?
Hobbit's
Oh.
3.
Yeah, Hobbit's
Hunger
still
Games
3.
is 4.
I mean, I'm still curious to see how they conclude the Hobbit because of how
maybe
inconsistent the
4.
second Hobbit movie was, not following anything really, but like 5 pages. But curious to see how Peter Jackson handles the last part of the Hobbit. It's been done, and editing's been going on for about maybe 4 or 5 months now, so we'll see.
And there'll definitely be a extended edition.
Always. Anything you're looking forward to, Austin, 2014?
Steam Machine.
Steam Machine.
I'm excited to see what they do with that.
Steam Machine.
I haven't been playing my PS3 at all lately. I've only been playing on Steam. So I'm excited to see what they pull for console.
Well, there's a lot you can talk about this Steam Machine though, and I think
And I mean it's got its way to work into it. I mean it's still pretty new, so I'm excited to see how it develops over this next year.
You know, the thing about the Steam Machine for me is I'm really thinking it's just a gimmicky kind of PC, because honestly they're not doing enough for it to be considered its own standalone thing. If they want to make it its own console, they have to have one. They can't have a mass amount of people making these consoles. Like,
Yeah, that doesn't
you
make any
have
sense.
Steam machines that range from $400 all the way to $6,000. That's ridiculous.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but I mean, I'm not gonna go for the $6,000 machine. I'm really gonna follow probably the price range that goes with the current generation console.
Yeah, honestly, but
Okay.
if you buy the price range that follows the current gen consoles, I still don't think it'll match the current gen consoles, because
You don't think it's gonna match
No,
the power?
definitely not.
Not
Because
otherwise.
they're
Really?
PC pricing, and you're paying for the components within the Steam machine, and you're not going to be able to buy parts that match the current gen I guess what we're calling now the next gen consoles, which is now going to be the current gen.
The current gen.
But you're not going to be able to buy a $500 Steam machine that.
We'll have a whole section for the Steam Machine because clearly we all have something to say about it from all aspects. Personally, what I'm looking forward to in 2014, I don't know yet. Like, there's a lot of games that I want to come out or I want to hear something from. Like Hideo Kojima has been teasing that he's got a new project in the works, and it might be related to Zone of the Enders, and that's probably
that would be cool.
the most exciting thing I've heard this year. For what's coming out,
What about getting
Wow.
DayZ?
I would really need a new computer for that. So, hey, a Steam Machine, if one
You
comes
can buy a
around,
$1,000 Steam machine.
if one comes out that doesn't like destroy my life, like financially, then I'll
You can
consider.
put a mortgage on a Steam machine.
If I can get one on layaway. But
Get a bank loan.
let's see. Wise, I can't think of anything else. So for this year, besides the games that I'm already waiting for, like Destiny and Watch Dogs and stuff like that, I'm not too excited for anything.
Do you have Starbound yet?
No.
That being said, I'm excited for the early access games I'm playing to actually be released in full versions, because what I've played so far.
Right now.
I'm playing
DayZ,
3,
Starbound.
technically, DayZ, Starbound, and Delver now.
Delver's early access?
Delver's early access is not finished yet. It's very bare bones right now.
Are they gonna add more stuff to
They're
it?
definitely adding more stuff to it. They're
If it's
adding,
early access.
I'm stoked about that.
No,
yeah, they're definitely adding more like an in-depth way of playing. Like I'm pretty sure that different types of items and how
Well,
like,
I mean, the game
item
is pretty
degradation
like
and
easy to produce, so it looks like a finished game. I didn't expect there to be more.
oh yeah, it definitely is very playable at its state right now. But it is definitely an early access game, and they're doing more to it to implement better game experience for that.
What I'm interested in though is when Starbound's doing their next update. They're doing the character wipe.
It's supposed to. Well, the next update's
So
supposed to be
it's
the
gonna be-
actual release of the game.
You said it was
so
gonna
the
be this
game's not
month.
actually fully out yet.
No, it's early access still.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought
The
it
next
was-
update's going to be the big shebang. They're going to have their
Oh.
quest system.
But you
They're
said it
gonna
was at the end of this month, right?
The speculation is that it's going to be sometime in January, but they've missed their dates before, so I wouldn't
Oh, yeah.
be surprised if Chucklefish does not have Starbound off early access until February sometime. But I'm definitely excited to see that next update, because that's when the game is going to actually kick off, and I'm going to be able to like go Starbound crazy, and
Yeah.
I'm going to just veg out in that game.
I've been actually kind of trying not to play the game right now, just in case, or just waiting until they do the character wipe. That way I can just start from scratch and not feel bummed that I lost everything.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, so I'm sure we all got a lot to look forward to 2014 beyond the stuff we know now. I'm sure there's going to be tons of announcements. But segueing into our next topic, what is the craziest thing you've seen recently? That's
Thanks to
what I was
Moonbeam Johnson, we get to talk about the
My
craziest
name.
thing.
Moonbeam Hotpants, and I,
Oh, Moonbeam
sir,
Hotpants.
have seen some things.
Whatever, felt tip, Joe. Let's go and get on with it.
apparently, if you're addicted to meth or methamphetamines, and you have a bit of a sore on the back of your head, like this one gentleman I saw on the internet, he scratched and scratched until he hit bone matter, and continued to scratch just a tad more until he noticed that that wasn't quite scalp anymore. And I thought that was the craziest thing I have seen in quite a few moons.
Did you actually see pictures of his skull that he had like scratched?
Oh yes,
Like a crater in his head.
there is pictures of his fragmented skull
like
that he picked away with his index finger.
To
That's
the
a little
bone.
intense.
Jesus Christ. Dude.
Yeah, it was a pretty beefy freaking circle
Yes.
around his dome piece
Yes.
that he decided to carve into with his finger.
That's pretty crazy.
Alright, that's up there with fucking bath salts, bro.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the wonders of meth, people.
Yeah.
Don't do
Here,
drugs,
here I
kids.
thought Breaking Bad was endorsing the idea.
Oh, jeez.
Asa, I hear you have a pretty outrageous
Oh yes,
happening.
earlier
that you
today
came
I watched on
Tell your
TV
tales, bro.
that I was watching some like funniest home videos, but it was like about TV or like recordings or something. I don't know. But it was two 80-year-old men on a stage talking about a game that happened 48 years prior, to where one guy had tackled another guy, and the guy that got tackled was still really upset, and so the other older gentleman was egging him on, and the guy went and swung and tried to hit him with a cane, and that guy dropped his mic and punched this old guy in the face, dropped him to the ground.
That sounds like the
Probably
end of,
sent him to
end
the
of a
hospital.
life.
Oh, it was pretty funny.
Old
Like,
people.
like watching two 80-year-old men try and fight. It was actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't really see many intense things because I'm really honestly I'm not that my eyes aren't peeled for the intense, but I think the craziest thing I saw is I was out in the back on lunch at work, and there was this bum. He threw out his little tarp, like he was doing normal bum things. He looked like he was about to lay down for the day or whatever they do in downtown. He was laying out his pillows and his tarps and his newspapers. Then he got butt ass naked.
That'll happen.
Laid there.
Well, you work downtown. I mean, shit like that's always going
Yeah,
on.
downtown San Diego is pretty awful.
So that
sometimes.
sounds pretty normal for downtown.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen many crazy things, but that was the craziest thing these eyes have witnessed.
I've
Lately.
never seen an
Lately.
homeless man naked.
Yeah, me either.
What's
Was
that
he-
restaurant
was
that
he
you went
oiled
to
up?
that they have over by your work? We didn't go to that one. We went to the one that was over in North Park.
Oh, the Mission.
The Mission. That place was good.
The Mission's great. That's a great place to grab breakfast. Go to the Mission. You get hearty meals.
We gotta go back.
Cash only. Ad for the Mission, free. You're welcome.
Plug.
Like they need our help. That place is like an hour wait every time we go
Hey
there.
man, you
Dude,
get big
we
enough,
waited
you
like
start
an
throwing
hour
out
and a
these
half that
names,
time.
you could get endorsements.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, I don't think I've seen anything too crazy recently. I'm a very boring person, but I saw this Vine about this little clump of hair that it was like tucked in the corner of some like it looked like a park.
Oh.
Park, yeah, Dwight.
I've seen it.
A park like I don't know, jungle gym or some shit like that.
It was like a tree.
True. No, it was blue though, wasn't it? And well, whatever it was, it looked like something you played on. So this dude like touches it, right? And he like brushes it to the side, and when this hair thing like splits,
It looks like moss.
it's like it's like black moss, and it's like 4 inches long. He pushes it to the side, it splits. Hundreds upon hundreds of fucking spiders start pouring out.
Yeah, it was just like a mound of them in this one spot, like a whole like
Jesus,
Oh,
like
no.
pokes them and they just go
No.
everywhere.
it looks like you know that stampede
actually,
in
no, he was,
Lion
like,
King
spraying
where he's
them off.
running. It looked like a stampede of fucking spiders. Like I'm sorry I'm cussing, but jeez, it was like I hate spiders.
Oh
They're
my
so
gosh.
bad.
I
But
don't feel
like,
well.
There was like hundreds of them, and
Actually, it looks like you have a spider on your chest
You know,
right now.
if we're talking about cool, like crazy videos that we've seen. So,
What the hell was that?
dude, don't throw that.
Where did that come from?
We're talking about.
hat.
Don't judge my hat.
All right. If we're talking about crazy videos that we've seen, I just recently saw a video where a guy actually casted a fire anthill in molten aluminum.
Oh, I saw that one too.
That was rad.
Yeah, I saw that.
I
That thing
mean,
was cool.
I know some people are thinking, oh, the poor ants. But let's be honest,
Screw
fire ants suck.
Fire ants are the
They
worst.
destroy the land, they bite you, they kill you.
There
It looked
is
like a
Fire ants
dead
have
hill.
no purpose.
It looked
Random-
like a dead hill. It
random-
didn't look like there was
Oh,
any
it's a
ants
dead
in it.
hill now.
random fact: there is 1 million spiders per human on the planet. So I don't give a
Yes.
shit if they clear like one colony.
I've actually been getting bit by spiders all the time lately.
I mean ants.
That's
Not
unfortunate.
The ants, yeah. There's
Do you have
million
brown
ants per
recluses? Or
person.
not brown recluses, brown widows here?
No, not really. We only have big, scary-looking garden spiders that don't.
I
really
saw a
do
similar
anything.
video to what you said though.
Yeah, but
but
they're
they
big.
did it.
Yeah, but
in
they're big.
cement, not aluminum.
Let's not forget
Nah,
the
those are
facts
scary.
here.
I can count 20 plus brown widow spiders just in the patio area of my backyard.
That's awful.
That's
Remind me to
terrible.
never come over your house.
Just never sit in the chairs on the patio.
Remind me to
Never.
burn your house down.
Ever.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
please
no.
don't do that.
You'll survive. You'll thank us. You'll thank us later.
All right. So now we will be talking about.
My premonition didn't come true. I'm going
Your
to take this page. Yeah.
Sorry, we had some planning snafus. What game has made you cry / feels frustrating?
You said so.
I think we're gonna need. We're gonna need to re-topic this topic.
I read that verbatim.
That was wow.
I read that verbatim
As
from,
if people don't understand what it means.
from the. I'm sorry, Moonbeam Pants over here wrote that, and I just read it how he wrote it.
I'm gonna get a name tag, and you're gonna say my name right every
It
single
better
time.
be like a little whiteboard because you get one every
You're
week.
not gonna be on this podcast ever again, Moonbeam.
Well,
There's no
anyway,
need for a name tag.
My ancestor will be here.
I think we got the gist of it.
What are we playing? Rogue Legacy?
Can anyone recall any games that have made you feel a strong emotion that is notable here?
Final Fantasy X made me cry.
I have not beaten that game.
The end of Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh god, I can talk about the end of Metal Gear Solid 3.
Dude, Metal Gear Solids. Let's just say that.
I'm pretty sure
Metal
it's 4.
Gear Solids. Man knows how to write some stories.
Yeah, he is. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
it is.
Hideo Kojima is a master.
I actually just finally got Metal Gear Rising from Kevin.
Nah.
Who?
I think we talked about that last time.
Some lame
Yeah,
guy.
I,
I don't know.
I believe so.
Oh, I thought you were talking
And
about
if we
this
didn't,
really cool
we
guy.
don't ever have to.
Yeah, we don't need to.
Uh,
The devil may ride or whatever.
yeah,
But,
right.
let's see, an actual game besides that cheap cop out we all threw out.
I mean, like you
well-
were saying last week, The Last of Us had a pretty emotional impact on the
Yes.
beginning of the
Yeah.
game. Like, right off the
Yeah.
bat, that game was already touching on
That
our
was
feeling
pretty
base.
intense.
And I was a little choked up at the first 20 minutes of the gameplay.
Yeah.
that made me feel some things, definitely. I would say the game that's made me the most frustrated, not counting fighting game bosses, because, like, I don't get what the deal is, but fighting game bosses are all fucking, like, such a spike in difficulty, it's retarded. But Valkyrie Profile 2, I don't remember the name of the boss, but he's got, like, this one-hit kill attack that works on fucking, like, everyone in your party. So literally, the arena is like this giant circle. It's always like this big circle you kind of fight into. It's like a Final Fantasy where you get into a fight and you have this arena.
Yes.
His move covers 98% of the arena, and it is a one-hit kill. And so you jump in to attack him, and he's got all these moves that blast you away and shit. But then he pulls this move out, so you've got to evade to like the 2% of the map that's left and open, but your whole party can't fit here. So 2 to 3 people will die, and then immediately after he does that, it's when he's the most open for damage. So you either go in with like 1 or 2 people to attack, or you spend that time reviving your party and then trying to get like 1 or 2 hits in and repeat. And it took me like 4 hours to beat him.
On the topic of Valkyrie Profile, what's the main character's name in Valkyrie Profile 1? The blue chick?
I could not remember.
Well, whatever her name is, on the topic of Valkyrie Profile 1 and frustration, Starish Until the End of Time, when you fight her,
Yes.
She's in that
she
game?
it's kind of similar
Yeah.
to what Newman was just saying. The same thing happens, and it's awful. Nimolung molesti.
Yeah.
And that's not how you pronounce it, but that's how it happens in my mind because it molestes you.
Nibelung
I
molested.
never
Molests.
Yeah.
And also on the topic of frustration in JRPG arena games, when you fight Abyssal in Tales of Symphonia,
Ooh.
that is a epic, frustrating fight.
An ass kicker.
Austin, you played Final Fantasy games where you have to fight somebody for like 6 hours, haven't you?
Final Fantasy 12, dude. You have
Yes,
to be in
man.
a fight for how long is it?
He has
It's like
50 million
7
HP.
or 9 hours.
Yeah.
You literally have to like. There's a way that you can like run outside of the battle and then save.
And he
then
doesn't
run
heal
back in.
fast enough
Yeah.
for. I mean, like he doesn't fully recover to where you can, make some level of checkpoints. But it's still going to take you
Got
forever.
it. So yeah,
Ugh.
I didn't do that because I was too worried about him actually reviving. So I would just pause the game and then come back into it.
And if you really want to get old school about it, talk about Super Mario RPG with the secret Final Fantasy boss.
I
Yeah,
heard about that.
Yeah.
that is near impossible. It's doable, but it's not fun. But it's there to represent the good old Final Fantasy from Squaresoft. And they need to get on their acts, and Nintendo and Squaresoft need to partner together and make a true Super Mario RPG sequel, and not these garbage Paper Mario games.
Or these
Because I'm sick of them.
Mario and Luigi
God.
saga.
Yeah, the Mario, Luigi, and Paper Mario, they can go to hell. They were fun, they were gimmicky, and they're gone now.
Well, Square Enix has been dropping the ball so freaking much. Oh, for a Western fan, that I
They've
don't
had some stuff that I've liked.
like.
Well, actually, 12 was probably the last actual game I liked.
That was PS2.
I'm
bro.
going to have to agree
Yeah.
with Newman and say that Square is not on their game like they used to be.
Whoa!
once
You
upon a
guys,
time.
are you
Come out
guys
with
telling
much
me
stuff.
that you guys don't want 2 or 3 Final Fantasy 13 sequels? Really? I mean, is this not a thing? I thought this
I've
was a thing.
said since
I think we talked about
Fucking
this last
Final
time
Fantasy
also.
10.
Yeah, I believe we
that
did.
they should never go and do a game after the first one.
Let's
never
just-
continue,
let
never
this be
continue the
said.
same story.
Final Fantasy's falling off the maps because the developer wants to make a 10-3. Moving on.
I am
We're
excited
done.
about
Whoa.
Final Fantasy 15 though. That looks dope.
Okay, well,
I'm excited for it. I hope they turn the whole series around.
just to
Right.
touch on what
Well,
you just
my-
said, I believe that they're making sequels because it's so expensive to make an engine now because they're so into 3D graphics and they're super boy band looking characters and whatnot that it would be a waste of money to make a game and then like try to move on to the next. So they try to get all they
Yeah,
can.
they
out of
milk
the engine.
their engine to the max.
Yeah.
But 10-3? Really? Like,
Nobody wanted that.
why do you...
No,
No one
was
wanted
terrible.
10-2.
No.
The games were
Final
just
Fantasy
not
10 was
fun to
good.
play.
Yes. They're like, wait. We can make them a girl dancey sing band, and when they change forms, it's just outfits.
It was a cool concept. It did not work very well though.
Of course not.
Let's just be honest.
I
Final
think
Fantasy
just-
10 was the last true Final Fantasy game.
I
in the
have not
series.
also played 13.2. I refused to play it because I did not like 13.1. So I have no point in playing that because I'm not following the story anymore.
Well, I have
so
both of those games for some reason. Well, anyway,
Well, it's just my
Yeah, I'm
frustrating,
still talking about
games was Ninja Gaiden, the trilogy on NES.
all of them.
I
let's
beat
go back to that.
I beat the first one
Back in the day.
with gray hairs and many other hairs pulled out through some level of mania and gluttony for punishment. And Ninja Gaiden 2 I also was able to beat, of course thanks to Infinite Continues, but that was even harder than the first one, though it did have better controls, so it was frustrating in the intentional category than just bad controls and glitchy enemies in the first one. And the third Ninja Gaiden was just ridiculous because they took out Infinite Continues and you died on the
You know
second
what?
level.
I will give it to them in that aspect of not having infinite continues. They did fix that in Ninja Gaiden 3 Sigma for the Wii U. However, it is still an ungodly piece of shit that you cannot beat. It is an impossible game. I can't pass the third fucking boss on the goddamn hangar, whatever. It's a stupid fucking helicopter and I'm a goddamn person. And rant cusses over.
I think that is actually the only Ninja Gaiden I've beaten, number 3.
Have you played Sigma?
I have it on my Vita.
Try it. I swear to God, I haven't played the original Ninja Gaiden 3, but I swear they made Sigma like
I
impossible.
beat that.
You try it, please, for me, just to validate the fact that I'm not crazy.
Wait, you mean that they
Get
did
past the
stuff
second
with
stage.
the NES Ninja Gaiden 3?
No, Sigma, Ninja Gaiden 3 Sigma.
Oh, Ninja Gaiden 3 Sigma.
First
Where
thing.
he fights the guy with the mask.
I don't know, I couldn't pass the third level!
Dude, no, when I got to the end of that game, like, literally I was like, hey, I haven't seen this character since like I don't know. Fuck the spoilers. I haven't seen this character, the Indian dude, since the very beginning of the game. I was like, I wonder what. And then I get to the end, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
right?
Sigma 1?
Yeah, well, 3 and Sigma is the same fucking game, story-wise. It's just different mechanics and more stuff added to it.
Sure.
But the thing is, the Indian-looking dude you fight at the beginning with the nunchucks or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Wait, Ninja Gaiden Sigma and the
Or the
NES Ninja Gaiden 3 is the same story?
You
we're not talking about
NES
NES.
Ninja Gaiden?
We're talking about.
That's what I've been talking about the whole time.
Oh,
There's
wow.
no-
Yeah, that's
Wow.
what he started talking
There's
about.
no NES Sigmas, and we're talking.
That's the
about
only ones he's beaten. They're talking about the one.
No, I mean, I've
jumped
beaten
generations.
I've beaten the last gen or current gen, whatever you want to call it, the Ninja Gaiden Sigma and Sigma 2 sort of. But the trilogy on
Okay,
NES.
okay. Let's edit everything out until this point. Let's edit like.
The
Nah, screw
Ninja
it. We
Gaiden,
screwed up. Whatever.
the Ninja Gaiden NES trilogy.
Well,
was-
we didn't screw up. This is good podcasting.
All right. Well, we're not gonna edit all out, but I'm just saying the part where we didn't understand Kevin. Let's edit from that part out.
No, that's lovable character mistakes. It's just, get on with that.
Whatever,
But-
I'm going to jump back in. Back on the topic that you were talking about with old school games. Old school game for me that's always been frustrating is the Final Fantasy IX boss, Ozma. I've been trying to beat
Well, that's
that
not
fucker
as
for
old school.
forever.
You still haven't beaten him?
I still haven't beaten him, and I will tell you right now, this year is going to be the year that I beat him.
You're gonna.
Because I got fucking really close last year, and then I lost my save file again. And so this year, I am going to pull all the strings that I can just to make sure that I beat
You're
that
gonna have to
game.
let us know when you get close enough to where we can have a follow-up interview and just really
Yeah, it'll be
just
like a
dive
boxing
into your
match.
mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
to touch on that Final Fantasy 15 thing you said earlier, the one thing going for it that I think is the combat style has been said to be a more evolved version of Kingdom Hearts fighting style.
Ooh, yes. I
It's
saw
like
something
Final
like
Fantasy 13 Versus before they fucking canceled that game,
Yes.
right?
Well, no,
That
that's
sounds
what it
pretty cool.
became.
I'm actually,
That's
I'd
what
be
it
excited
became.
for that.
Versus became 15.
Oh, Versus
because
is
yeah,
now
that's
15.
what
They
Versus
took
is,
so
yeah.
long,
Yeah.
like when they announced it, they were like Versus 13, and then the title like shattered, and it was like Final Fantasy 15 because we're losers.
You know, I was actually excited about Versus. So I might actually play Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
they
13
didn't.
now.
They didn't ditch it.
Did you see the trailer for it?
I have not.
It looks pretty
Yeah,
tight.
it
Check that
looks
out.
good.
Yeah.
Anyone, any other touches on this before we?
Also,
jump on to the next?
the NES Castlevania, Dracula wasn't even the hardest boss. Death truly took years off my life. I was so upset. Austin watched me play almost the whole thing, and the amount of tiny little scythes that just come at you from every single
Wait, is he
direction.
Death or Shaft in that game?
Honestly, I
it
don't
was
know.
No, it's Death. It's Death. That's the first one.
Death and
Well,
Shaft
I-
are two different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
that's
only
different.
gotten into the Symphony of the
No,
Night.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
NES version, for some reason you have like a 16-point health bar, and as you progress through the game, everything that does damage to you just does more damage. And at the end game level, like against Death and Dracula in their stages, everything does 4 bars. So you just lose all health, and boss fights are just
Well,
cringeworthy.
that being said,
Glutton for
you're
punishment.
yes. I mean, everyone around this table here knows how avid of a Castlevania fan I am.
You are the biggest fan of Castlevania at this table right now.
Yeah, Death is harder than Dracula in Castlevania 1. Let's jump to Castlevania 3, where Dracula is the freaking hardest Retrovania boss that exists. You start off in his classic form, you beat him, he turns into a giant monster. You beat him, what's next? The floor breaks, there's rotating platforms, and you have to hit the highest point.
See, I feel like we should
beat
have
that.
a let's play of this shit. We're all just pulling our hair out.
That's why I
Castlevania
talked
3's
about
Dracula
earlier,
is the most difficult Dracula in Retrovania.
Because I would certainly like to say, at least amongst the 4 of us, that I am a solid second place of Castlevania fandom. Because I've I did start in the Game Boy Advance Castlevanias, as Circle of the Moon is my favorite Castlevania with the card system, and I thought that was really neat. But I really wanted to get back into the NES, and then I beat the first one. I'm like, well, I gotta play the second one. Of course, forgetting how terrible the second one is.
My fandom
Just to say.
is mostly on Symphony of the Night, which I've beaten on almost every platform it's available on.
Great game.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow still need to finish. And then
Portrait of Ruin.
Dinosaur and Iris are arguably the best Metroidvania versions
Handheld
of the
ones,
game.
sorry.
if you ask a purist, of course they're gonna say Symphony of the Night,
Yeah.
but
Just
honestly,
because it
Aria
started
Saro and Aria Saro are, I said that twice, but you know what I mean. Donna Saro and Aria Saro are the quintessential Metroidvania Castlevanias you need to play if you can't get your hands on
They're
Symphony
really
of the
Well,
Night.
Portrait of Ruin was really good. It was
Yeah.
pretty interesting how it had the
I
two
don't remember
different
if
characters.
I ever beat any of those. though.
Portrait of Ruin is alright.
I think I
Let's
kind of
just
like
say
started
that.
them and dropped them.
All right, to make another rough transition, because we've got some really jumpy topics today.
We're probably just gonna edit that all out.
The
Just jump into the next
the
transition.
WWE Network has been announced.
Okay, I'm gonna go outside and have a smoke. Make this 10 minutes long.
Can I join you?
Jeez. What? I don't
Whoa,
know anything.
whoa, whoa.
Here, his
No,
biggest
no, no, no,
point.
no.
No, can we pause real quick and just have a smoke?
This will be
I,
our break.
honestly, I'm not gonna be able to sit through this because I have nothing.
I really want to talk about this, but I want to have a cigarette with Austin.
All right,
That's
go
what I'm
and
saying
have
right
your
now.
cigarettes. We're gonna try to, well, I don't know, put a jingle in here or something to show that this is the halftime.
See what you can do by yourself or by yourselves in 10 minutes time.
No, I think we're just gonna say screw it. We're taking a break. We'll be right back to finish up our topics.
We're also just gonna
Back
edit
to you
that out and it's
after
just gonna
these
be one solid
messages.
thing.
After these messages, part 2 of the
Ad
Ranters.
space.
I guarantee
Ad
you we're
space.
just gonna edit that right out.
We're back from the break, and before we get things started, we're taking another shot for Seth. Is this for Seth?
For Seth
I
again.
feel like this should be for
He
Seth.
earned
For
it.
Seth and for tequila.
And for
And for
That-
tequila.
Oh, that just goes down so smooth.
Ah,
Oh, boy.
makes you slap your mama.
Now that we got that taken care of,
Yeah, that was an issue we had to solve.
since we're on the topic of ludicrous things,
Ooga chaka.
let's mention the announcement that WWE just made.
Yeah,
La-
I believe that's where we left off before
Yes,
the break.
yes.
The WWE Network just got announced.
But to be noted, it's been in the works for quite some time. They've been mentioning it and saying that it's something they want to do, and that they had these original shows and how there'd be some kind of on-demand service, but they were never truly legitimate about it. Like there was never a legitimate release date or true specifics. Like it was just kind of like a teaser, and it was just such in the works that they could never really define it. But now, February 24th this year, it will go online for $10 a month. Every single pay-per-view of WWE, WCW, and ECW in a backlog, along with the most recent 12 WWE pay-per-views, including WrestleMania 30. I think that's huge.
So this is essentially the WWE's version of like Hulu or something,
Uh,
but it's more of
Netflix.
exclusive
I
content.
think
than
it's more like
anything else.
Netflix.
But it's like their exclusive wrestling content more than anything else, right?
Well, since they own the rights to WCW and ECW, then they can have all of that and just the history.
So this is gonna be like a non-stop wrestling channel where when they're not doing live events, it's just like I don't know the golden oldies, so to speak.
Well, you can have it's like there are some specifics that need to be ironed out, but you can go back and watch any pay-per-view, and they also have pre-shows and post-shows of Raw and SmackDown, and you can watch the smaller shows like NXT and Superstars and Main Event, and they also are going to bring out original reality shows that will feature maybe Total Divas or things like Legends in the House or something. It's got a lot of potential.
To my understanding, what's supposed to happen with this channel is you're going to have your backlogged episodes, and from what I was understanding, they're going to be in a higher quality than you were able to view them prior. And then also you're going to be able to view all your SmackDowns and Raws right after they air, like within an hour before they...
Wait, so are they gonna air on their usual network, like
Yeah.
Spike or whatever it
They're
is?
still going to
and then
air on
afterwards?
regular television. However, after they air, they're going to be up within an hour on the subscription-based WWE network.
Like how it is right now on Hulu Plus.
Yeah. So you can't watch them live, which is weird that the WWE Network is launching their service, but you can't watch their events live.
I think.
However, I understand what they're doing right now. Like, they probably can't access that live footage
Right.
because they have their deal with their network still.
Yeah.
But eventually, I'm assuming that they're going to be able to stream live footage after
Yes.
their contracts end with the major networks that they're associated with.
Mhm.
I mean, I think this is exciting news because they honestly, like when I was growing up, I missed a lot of Monday Night Raws because I wasn't allowed to stay up that
Right.
late. Like, for those of you that are younger and weren't allowed to stay up, I think this is great to catch up on some of the episodes you frankly missed. And I know I missed a lot of golden footage like moments because I just
like
couldn't.
fucking Rodzilla.
Like, you know, the golden era with Hulk Hogan, or even the famed Attitude era with Stone Cold and The
Oh, yeah.
Rock, or, you know, the Ruthless Aggression era with John Cena, like all the way back from like 03 to 08.
Mhm.
Like all those, you know, like either you missed the Raws and Smackdowns and you just wanted to catch up, like maybe there was a good segment or a quality match that you missed out on, or even the pay-per-views, like you just didn't have the money for it.
Or if you just want to go back to it, Frank, I want to watch
Yeah,
SummerSlam '99 again. I
You
love
just wanna watch it
SummerSlam
again.
'99. That
Yeah.
was one of my favorite pay-per-views ever when they had the
think-
match, the triple threat match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kane, and Undertaker in the dumpsters.
Yeah,
SummerSlam
classic.
'99 was gold.
Stone Cold and Rock is literally the only reason I would watch. I would like jump onto this thing.
And that's what they're going for. I mean, it's a good price for the amount of content that they're offering, and it can only go up from here when they specify and we get closer to the release date of the service.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now for more recent events coming up, we've got Coachella.
Yeah, they just posted the new lineup pretty recently.
They did in fact post up the new lineup, and to be frankly honest, I'm not entirely enthusiastic about the lineup. I mean,
Okay.
granted, last year's lineup was a powerhouse lineup, like for all 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually probably the saddest lineup I've seen in the
Yeah.
last couple of years.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. However, day 2 is looking very exciting. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not agreeing to the fact that Muse is headlining day 2, like, because frankly,
I'd rather have Queens of the Stone Age.
You
That's
know,
probably
yeah, because they're the second
most
build,
excited band I
like-
am for day 2.
I really do believe that Queens of the Stone Age is eons better than Muse in their
Okay.
musical
See,
progression.
I've never been to Coachella. I've heard about this thing, so it's just essentially a big concert.
It's a
For
3-day
Concert festival.
It's like a music festival that
Yeah.
they push.
There's
in
like
2
4
days.
stages. They're all playing. There's bands playing on all stages at all times.
At
so
all
you kind of have
times.
to jump from whatever band you want to listen to the most.
So you just camp out here or something?
Yeah, they have like a camping ground, and I mean all the hotels in that area are always booked around that time. And it's becoming a really big event, like how Comic-Con is now. As soon as the tickets come out, they're sold out. I mean,
Comic-Con's
it's already
become a big
sold out for
event
weekend
in
1.
Probably about,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
San Diego
It's
Comic-Con.
become such a huge
Yeah.
event that they've had to open it 2 weekends in a row now.
Mm-hmm.
I think SD Comic Con's a bad example to like match it up to because it's become really like.
Well, I'm saying as far as like
Oh,
when
yeah.
tickets come out
Based
for
on our
sale,
area.
And to be honest, I think.
Well, I'm
I
just
fall
saying when
into
tickets
the
come out for sale for
category
Comic-Con,
that
they're
doesn't
sold.
need to be at Comic Con because I'm all about anime
Yeah,
stuff.
with the lineup being said for Coachella, I must mention that the day 1 does have an amazing
leave.
opener band.
That was
Outkast
cool, yeah.
is going to be opening
Oh.
for day 1 of Coachella. That's
gonna be
awesome.
Dude,
I love me some Outkast.
Yes.
AT Aliens is the best album that they have, in my opinion.
Outkast is one
But-
of my favorite.
But
hip-hop
I wouldn't want to
artists.
spend the money for that.
How much does it cost to go to Coachella?
Expensive.
It's like $200-$300,
Yeah,
and that's if
it
you get them
ranges
like right out
around
of the
like
gates.
200 to like $500.
Like the only I almost was able to go with Austin and our other friend the year that they went. If I was able to sell my 360, my Xbox 360 on Craigslist on time, but all I was getting at the time were, you know, Nigerian princes wanting to offer me like $5,000 if I just sent them a money order first. So it just fell
You
through.
gotta buy into that, bro. You didn't get your $5,000? I got my $5,000.
But yeah,
So what are the what's the good and the bad for you so far from what you know about this Coachella?
Good, Queens of the Stone Age,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Outkast. Bad, every other band.
yeah. I mean,
I
Do you
guess.
have a few bands that like?
Can I-
are
Well,
just-
there's there's like probably like 20 bands a day.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's
Is it just like
20 to 30
like
bands.
new bands or something?
No,
Yeah,
it's
well-
all sorts of bands. I mean, but this year it seems like they've pulled more of like the newer, like more indie kind of like.
Yeah, this year I think it kind of really shows how off the map I kind of fell from the indie
yeah,
scene.
like
'Cause, like
it's
last
mostly
year I
people
knew a
who
lot of the
haven't-
bands.
last year was
last
last year was like our generation of Coachella. Like, I mean, come on, Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then right after the Red Hot Chili Peppers, guess who plays? The fucking Wu-Tang Clan. Are you kidding me?
That was so fucking awesome, dude.
Jeez, that's
Like,
not-
Wish I
last
could've
year
been
was
there.
ridiculous,
just
dude.
to
Yeah,
get
dude,
out
man,
there.
you
Franz
fucking watched it in your
Ferdinand.
room.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Like,
so I
it
can
was
finish this
amazing.
joke, they are nothing to fuck with.
Yeah,
Exactly.
nothing to fuck
And
with.
so
Couldn't have
what's
said it better
fucking
myself.
about? So it's all indie people that are just like starting
Like,
to make
Yeah,
their
there's a
craft?
lot of bands that I've never heard of.
Right.
It's just the beginning of these new progressive artists.
Yeah, and I'm sure
honestly,
they're good.
like,
I just never heard of
Coachella
them.
this year could be very exciting for someone.
It just
It's
doesn't have the
not
star
me.
power.
Like, I don't,
Well, for
I
the
don't
price
know these
point,
bands.
I want to see bands
for
that
like
I really want to
$200.
see.
Right.
I mean, granted, day two you're getting.
Is
like
there anything
clean-
else going on besides the bands though?
Well,
Oh yeah, they do like
Because I know
art sculptures and shit and all kinds of other events.
Yeah, they
the
do
Sony
like.
crony that I am. I know they go to every Coachella. They've been there for the last like
Yeah, there's
5 or
like
6 years.
They do all
booths
kinds
and
of
things.
stuff.
You like there's vendors and booths.
Yeah,
it's like little.
Heineken's there, and
Yeah.
they do like a beer garden, and then
It's
they
your
have,
basic
art-
like street festival kind
shit
of
and
deal,
stuff.
except it's in the desert and it's huge.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool. It's really fun to go to.
Oh,
but
yeah.
this year, there's just not enough bands for me to really want to do
I
that.
mean, Nas is playing on the second day as well.
Yeah.
That's an honorable,
Yes.
like a
Nas is
notable
still
that
does
mention.
would be good.
Nas apparently is doing
Oh.
something for Coachella.
I haven't heard Boston in a long time.
He's probably
Nas
trying to
is
ride
good.
on that Wu-Tang trail, but
I actually, I mean, I'm not as crazy about this lineup as I've been as years before, like just going crazy that I'm missing out. But I mean, Foster the People and
Oh.
Fatboy Slim and Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi would be good.
And Pet Shop Boys,
Fatboy Slim
even
is tight.
MGMT, Beck.
no MGMT.
I like
yeah,
Calvin
MGMT.
Harris. Motorhead's
Motorhead
gonna
live.
be there.
But that's all second day stuff, right?
There's a lot of-
Motorhead's actually day 3. That's
Is
the
it?
thing
Motorhead,
day 3 has going for it. is
yeah, Motorhead,
Motorhead.
and Beck are
I've
gonna be
never
on day
actually
3.
gone to a live concert for any of these rock bands.
You've never met.
The only thing,
Festivals are cool. I like going to single band concerts
Capital
more.
Cities.
The only
Yeah.
thing
Yeah,
I've
you
ever-
get more of that band.
Yeah, you get
instead
the-
of
you get the
everything
feel.
else.
Oh, and
wait, no,
Glitch Mob.
I've been to Offspring thing once.
You went to Offspring
Yeah,
concerts?
but I've the only thing I've really done that is kind of like in this like element, but not this level, is I forget what it's called. It's called the Backyard in San Diego,
Mhm.
where a whole bunch of underground rappers come,
Mm.
and you're like, it's a venue about this size. You go to a house that's like the only house on this block, and you're like, what is this it?
In downtown.
And then some big dude's sitting there, and then you're like, is this the Backyard? And he's like, yeah, $20 or whatever. And then he gives you a wristband. You go in the back, and it's just all fucking underground artists
That's cool.
around the area. But there's also some that come from around the
Mhm.
country. It was really tight. Like,
That seems really cool because I'm really into like the underground like hip hop more so than the mainstream hip hop
Yes.
because the underground hip hop actually has consistency. It actually has rhyme and reason to exist.
Yeah, it has like
They
a lot of
they really delve into the music genre.
before artists get to like, I guess you can say Kanye West is a great example of it. Like his first material, like his album, was something really cool. Like a lot of people can relate to it.
Or his
and it
first
sounded-
couple.
Yeah, his first couple, like up until like high school, college dropout or something.
Yeah.
And then he got so full of himself. It was just like
He became Yeezus.
it's like he made good music, but you couldn't relate to him. So
Yeah,
I didn't like him anymore. But I was like, all right, I'll listen to his music. But whenever he's like, I don't give a shit about him on TV. I don't give a crap about him doing anything else. So I don't like the artist now, but I still like his music, which is an odd like, I don't know.
Do you guys like Aesop Rock?
People can relate to
I like
that. Yes.
Aesop. Aesop's good.
Yes.
I don't
He's
think
pretty
I've ever
good.
heard any of it.
Do enjoy
Yeah,
Aesop.
I introduced you to him.
All right,
My personal favorite.
Yes, I did.
Speaking of the underground,
The
MF
first time I ever
Doom.
heard about him was off of Adult Swim's.
is the and Nick
Me.
Doom and
I
whatever
introduced you
Future
from
Mouse.
that album.
Whatever
to
persona
you.
he takes.
It shall pass.
Just like Dell.
Yeah, from that
He-
like
Me.
hip hop
He
album.
does really
Me.
great stuff.
I had that. I
I-
showed it to you.
I thought I stumbled across that on my own.
Me.
Hey,
I'm sure we are like the same person.
We're
I have
moving on to the
trouble
next
memory,
topic
so
now, so
I'm
we
not
don't
gonna go on
drag
it.
this on for longer than anyone's willing to listen to. PlayStation Now, which I think you might know what it is.
Yes.
I know nothing about this. Please tell
Moonbeam
me.
Pants.
Moonbeam Hotpants.
Moonbeam
Moonbeam Hotpants. What?
Okay,
I
I'm
know
just
what's
gonna call
the
you
dealio.
Moon. It's much easier.
I'm not gonna remember his name because whatever.
Call Moon.
All right, let me explain to you what it is, and then we'll talk about this.
Yes.
PlayStation Now is. Do you know what OnLive is?
No.
It is essentially a cloud service where you subscribe to the service, and they have all the games you'd want on PC at the point for OnLive in a server, and you play these games streaming in a sense to where the game would run on their server, but you just see the picture streamed to your computer, so you don't
Okay.
actually have the game.
I have heard a little bit about this. It's the rental service for PlayStation that they're doing outside of the Play or the what's the other one they're
PlayStation
doing?
Plus?
PlayStation Plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, so CES was recent, and they did a lot of showing this off. And so what it is so far, what they have planned is PlayStation 3 games is their first goal to get on to the service to where you subscribe to the service, or you can do on a per game rental type deal.
Yeah.
To where you have access to the game, you have access to trophies. It's on your account. You can play online, but you're streaming everything to your console, and it'll expand to PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, and then after they get these out of the way, they're going for tablets, smartphones, and they haven't announced it yet, but they need to get PC on this, because
See, the only problem I have with this is that I don't really want them to focus on this. I want them to focus on something to where they like back up my library to where I can have like my PlayStation 1 classic games on PS4 or PlayStation 2 games. Like I bought so many games in the past and those are gone now. I can't get those back.
Yeah, but the beauty of this is that they're renewing that entire library.
Yes.
Because not only are they just bringing back the PlayStation 3 games, they're going to bring back the entire PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 libraries.
As
Yes.
long as it gets
See.
better than what I saw for the PlayStation 2 library on the PS3 because it
No.
was very lackluster and there was not
Expanded.
a whole lot.
They're entirely bringing the whole PlayStation library with PlayStation Now.
See.
Eventually, over time, they will have every game that was ever released to the whatever region you're from. They will have that on their PlayStation Live, and you will be able to completely stream it from their servers on any device. So far, like Newman said, they stated the Android and like the cell phone market, the PlayStation market.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
see, the thing is they're also expanding to Sony products that aren't related to gaming. Like the Bravia series of TVs,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is owned by Sony,
Yes.
will be built in with this ability to stream these games and stuff. So what they're going for is an audience that might not necessarily be into the console gaming, that they can show all these titles, and then
Yeah,
I think the
Without
smart,
even a console.
the smart thing about it is that they're giving people access to stuff that they through electronics they have, but they're also showing it to you in a way where it can make you want to get the hardware. So, like Vita and PlayStation 4 and stuff, you might be playing these games and you're like, hey, I get these games like, I don't know, a half a year sooner or so on the console, so I might pick this up. So I think it's a smart move, but it still has a lot to prove because people haven't actually gotten to play it at home.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know how the latency
Yeah, you
works.
have to worry about latency.
Well,
and
no,
all
that
that
they
jazz.
say that you that they did mention that you would benefit from like you almost need a quality connection to where this cloud service will
Oh, no doubt you're going to have a
will
pretty
stream-
beefy connection
will
to
stream
be able to
your
flawlessly
gaming
It's
stream.
also
properly.
a very smart way to get people to sign up for the PlayStation Network who might not have had an account
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah, and that all sounds pretty good, but what I really want is something to where I can have a library of all my favorite classic games. I want to go and buy those games and put them in my library. That way people can go in and see that I own those games, and those games are my favorite games.
See, this was the second part of the reason I brought this up, because they have not mentioned at all ownership of the
Yeah.
titles you rent. Like, you can rent them and you can play them, you can have them for a set amount of time,
Yeah.
but they have not mentioned once the fact that you actually are buying a license for the games.
Oh.
So
And see, that's not
essentially,
cool. They can do the renting thing as long as I can also choose to own the game instead.
essentially, this is like the PlayStation's version of the Sega Channel. If anybody remembers that.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was great if you wanted to play games, but you're not going to own any of these games.
Yes.
Like, I mean, if you want to actually own these games, you're still going to have to go out and hunt for the hard copies or buy
but
the
this is
digital copies that
this
exist.
is a digital age now. I
Yeah.
should be able to go on to an
But you will
online
be able to-
library and buy those games and have them
You'll be able
for
to
the
buy
next
certain
consoles
ones.
coming out.
You'll be able to buy certain ones, but not all of those games are like logically liable.
Well,
Like,
I'm
This
not
is-
going to want to buy Barbie's Horse
Yeah,
Adventure.
okay, no.
That game's going to be terrible.
This
Certain-
is
But the classic games that actually did sell good that I know are going to be on a library like that.
this was
You'll
the
probably
main,
be able to buy them.
main
Yeah.
point I wanted to get with talking about this is we all grew up in the pretty much multiple ages where when you bought a game, you bought it physically and you own it and you can play it whenever you want. And more recently with the new hardware, it's becoming digital is becoming more prominent.
Mhm.
Not necessarily that you don't get the physical copy or anything, but the thing is, digital has become an option that a lot of people find more convenient than anything else. Like
Oh, yeah,
people
'cause
don't want to leave their house.
I could sit there at like 2 a.m. if I feel like if I have a wild hair at my butt and want to buy a game at 2 a.m. I can go onto Steam and look at their library and just purchase random game and play it at 2 a.m. in the morning.
That's nice too, but what I really like about Steam though is that it has that whole library. Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
stays with you. If
I
I,
mean-
lose my PC, I will still have that library online.
Yeah, well,
They will still offer games. Like they're not going to stop putting games on their PS Network just because of the subscription exists.
I agree.
They're
no,
making
actually-
it so that they can have the subscription and have these more casual type
yeah,
audience
so
be
the
able to
people-
access their extended
so
library.
the people
and
aren't
then they're
willing
still
to
going to
drop the
have
$60 on the game, or
Yeah.
they can wait half a year to play a game.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
actually,
And
I
they're
have a
still going to
question.
have the ability to purchase these PS Network games like they've always had.
Yeah, but I have a question. When you jump from PS3 to PS4, all the games that you bought digitally on the PS3, do they go to the PS4?
They exist on your PS Network, but they do not transfer
Oh,
to the
yeah.
PS4 as of yet.
Yeah, all
Well,
games
the
you
PS4
purchase-
That's
doesn't
what I
play
want.
PS3 games.
That's what I want. I just want an online network that Sony has
that unifies
can
everything.
that can register all the games that I own. That way, I don't have to keep buying the same games over and over
But
and over.
they're
That's
still
true.
working on it. That's in my opinion, Steam prevails because
Yes.
there's no updated hardware ever.
And
you
that's
always
why
have your
I'm
Steam
playing
account.
I think
Steam right now,
Sony-
because that's what I want.
Sony's made a smart decision here, though, because I believe that, like, my assumption is this, like, eventually they'll have it to the point where, because this will be linked to your account, it'll have whatever you've already purchased. You'll be able to access that through the network, and that's what they've been working
Yeah,
towards.
well, what they
with-
need to do is create a network that's not console specific. It's
no,
outside of the
that's
console.
what this is,
Yeah,
literally,
okay.
It's
because
cross-platform. Like,
because it
Okay.
starts they're starting with Sony products,
Mhm.
and then they're expanding to iOS, Android, and then I believe like
I said it in the last one. I'm not a big fan of the
Well,
tablet stuff.
yeah.
So
Well,
I
the,
don't
No,
the
no.
market they're looking for is the casual people who want to get into these things.
that are going to
but
pay money.
someone who
for
has that nice
bullshit
TV,
games.
but they're not so dedicated. Like they don't even have a console, but if they have a nice Sony TV, they can still play The Last
another
of Us.
element of this thing that
Like-
I've just dawned on me is the fact that everything they're releasing this for has to pair with a controller,
Mhm.
like a Sony controller, like PlayStation. to
Yeah,
replace
so you
one.
don't have to touch screen.
So if they release it for iOS, which I'm pretty sure they're going to do at some point, they have to release drivers or something or some program that allows you to use a PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 controller, because like touch pads.
no doubt they just have the
Yeah.
Bluetooth sync with the Apple device or whatever. They'll just have the Bluetooth synchronization, and you'll just be able to use like a PS3 or a PS4 controller probably with that while you play your back library.
I am also hoping that Steam machines do the same thing, because even though they're releasing their own controller for that, I really hope that they adapt it to add other controllers to that console.
What people need to focus on is that it just came out, so there are details that need to be ironed out and
Yeah,
specified.
it's still early.
Yeah,
They
it
have
comes
time.
out in the summer, so that we have.
But
a lot
in
of time.
general,
I'm just hoping that they
in
adapt
general,
that
what do we
later
think
on.
about this kind of streaming service? Because I can guarantee you, I think Sony is the first one with enough power behind it that where they can make this a success. But when this becomes a success, other companies will follow because they're gonna have.
Of course.
You're gonna have to have streaming like TV shows. Like you're gonna have to be able to demand what you want when you want it. And this is what Sony's doing first, and then other companies will more than likely follow suit.
I find it promising.
This is honestly this is kind of hand in hand with what I was saying about Nintendo last time. Like, if Nintendo just solely did this and dropped their console BS, they would do so much better
Yes.
with themselves if they just offered a service. Like, Sony's breaking the barrier right now, I believe, with this streaming service.
They're not.
Like, I mean, it's not really groundbreaking, but
No,
like
yeah.
it's a good move in their lineup because it adds more players to the mix. Like, it just gives you the availability to not have to pick up this like $600 or $500 machine.
You just
And you
rent
could
the
just
service.
run it off things you already own.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about the hardware because they're streaming it from theirs. And you just, I mean, sure, you're going to pay sometimes a little latency and stuff here and there, but you're not going to have to pay for the equipment. And you're going to just be able to enjoy at your leisure a $10 experience a month.
And
you're
you don't even suffer the gameplay because they.
I'll explain.
I mean, they force you to use their controller, but that's good because you don't play it or feel it in a different manner than you normally would if you were on the console that it's supposed to be on.
I think it's a very smart move. Like Sony has since these new consoles have been announced, Sony's been taking almost every step like it's the right step. They haven't made a mistake yet.
Yeah, Sony's been very, very good.
And I think they learned because when they came out with the PS3, they were really full of themselves off the PS2. And
Yeah, they were. They got humble when they released the PS3.
they dropped this
Yeah.
$500
They ate a
price
slice
point.
of their humble pie real quick.
And Xbox isn't doing bad either because it's built up a lot of credit, up until now. So their $500 console is literally like a stone's throw away from what Sony's been doing. Sony's still in the lead.
Was it you that linked that video of the guy doing the
Yes,
Xbox
so
sign out?
funny.
That
Oh,
was
man.
so funny.
Xbox sign out.
Yeah, somebody's Xbox name was Xbox Sign Out. So whenever people called out his name in Call of Duty, they got
That
logged
was
out of the console.
The best.
It was really funny. All right, on the topic of Sony and PlayStation Now and whatever Sony crap, Metal Gear Solid 5 is the second game to ever receive the ESRB rating for sexual violence. Since 2006 with the game, I cannot remember the title right now, so so sue me. But for me, this brings the question of, are console games, do you think this generation, maybe more than any other, is ready to move on to more mature topics? Because we have this in books, we have this in movies and TV shows and everything. But games have always been shed in this light to where it's a child's toy.
Well, it brings an interactive environment to it.
I think it's smart to go in this direction to have a more not every game has to do it, obviously, but I think it should be more accepted to have a video game be able to pursue these more mature realities because video games have become just as artistic and creative and enthralling as just like a book. This is the new generation's books, pretty much, video games, and they should be able to subject themselves to more mature
I agree.
things
Yeah.
and experience
at the
It's,
more.
same
it's
time,
like
it gives
it's
you more
like
choice.
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
your Grand Theft Autos and your Call of Duties, and it just gets more brutal and violent, and they start taking on these new themes that people haven't really seen before, or they're getting more complacent with, and they become okay with it, and it doesn't shock them anymore. Not to say that these themes shouldn't be brought in as shock value, but if it fits a story or it has some place in it, then it's been done in movies, it's been done in books, TV. I mean, it's a mature theme, and if it's a mature game, then if it finds its place and it's not forced to just drop a jaw or have some internet discussion, then
See,
why
that's a
not?
battle I think they're kind of dealing with right now. Video games up until now haven't dealt with these mature topics because well, I guess one, we didn't have. No, I think we've always had the means to do it. Like, it's storytelling. Like, you can do it if you want to do it right. You have to do it right. And the thing is, people have been so afraid of this because, for one, it's Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo have been literally the only reason we don't have an adult-only rating, because they refuse to publish a game with that rating.
Right. I mean,
It's not that
they're
we can't-
afraid.
Yeah, it's not that we can't have
But they
them.
should also be afraid, being the controversy that's already involved with
that,
the
like-
violence in video games.
on
So
that-
now, if they
yeah.
add sexual violence on top of that, that's just even more fuel to the fire.
But on that note, another thing to the adults only rating, numerous retailers have refused to sell adults only games, which makes these developers not want to produce that sort of product as well.
Yeah.
Because they lose sales.
Yeah.
So there's
Right.
that, but then there's also the.
But you don't have to make it that gratuitous to the point where it's not watchable. To like, I mean, look how many NC-17 movies are there? I mean, that's almost
Yeah.
what the adults rating
Yeah.
is.
But at
Yeah.
the same time, too, with the digital age and all the games being sold online instead of in stores, that doesn't really matter anymore.
Exactly.
Now they can
Well,
sell those
but,
games
but at the
without
same
that.
time, it's not like Steam, like without
Wait,
a
how many
console or
AO games are on Steam though?
yeah, exactly.
There's
That's what I'm
only
saying.
like 1 or 2 AO games that exist in the entirety
Right,
of
see,
a
right.
video
But the
game
thing is,
ESRB market.
There's a
Yeah, but I think
stigma.
it's opening up now.
There's a stigma though. Like, the whole concept of making an adult-only game has come with the stigma that you're not going to make any money back on it,
like,
and it's because of these market shareholders. Like, if it sucks because I've been playing video games for so long, and I think like more than ever, the audience is ready for more mature topics. Like the game Last of Us, like brought us closer to a mature topic because they also have like it's implied that there is rape, like someone is out for rape at some point in the game. That's implied, and then one of the main characters has to deal with that, and it's like
Well,
Yeah.
something that is in that sort of like storyline
yeah,
is
see,
kind of expected.
see, but that's the thing though. Like, this has to be dealt with properly to like usher in fucking goddamn it to like allow more people into this gate. Essentially, it's like they're trying it first to see if you're good to go, so other people can do it afterwards. And now Metal Gear is doing it. But the thing is, it's not depicted or anything, so anyone listening to this, if this is the first time you're hearing about this, it's not depicted. It's like a recording you've stumbled upon. At some point in the game, you have to find to where a character who is silent throughout the whole game, her name is Quiet, and she's a sniper. Her backstory involves that she might have been sexually assaulted to where it's traumatizing. And that already has gotten a lot of flack because the way Metal Gear has handled their female characters up until now has not necessarily been tasteful in the Western eyes, because in Japan, sexualization is pretty common just because of the way their culture works.
Mhm.
But when you bring that over here, we scrutinize
See
it a
it
lot.
differently.
Yeah. And I mean, that doesn't sound all that bad to me. The only thing that I might have a problem with is if they develop this further and then actually give you a choice to rape somebody in a game.
Okay.
That's a stretch.
That's probably
a
stepping
stretch.
along.
that's being gratuitous for
That's a
the point
shock
of just
value.
being an eye opener. Like,
See,
Yeah.
that's being
that
way
is-
too far.
I understand that, but it's also, it literally completely relies on the story, the
Yeah.
context of it. Like,
Right.
like on fucking Grand Theft Auto, like torturing somebody wasn't an option, and a lot of people that like turn them off of the game because you're really dealing some damage to this guy. And I know to us who's
That's
played
a little
games,
different for me. I mean, I'm
not
grew
saying
up
was a
with
heavy
it's not the
scene,
same.
like-
Reservoir
It's not the
Dogs.
same topic,
It's
but
different,
it's in
though.
the same vein.
No, I
Yeah.
understand. Like the
Like, 'cause
torture
if-
scene in Grand Theft Auto is pretty heavy compared to most games. Like in their torture scenes, like I can understand some people not wanting to like play that part.
It's
Yeah,
it's
it
the
was
whole-
really heavy.
Because
It was
Trevor's
really
really
heavy,
getting
but-
into it, and like it's.
I think it's being
It's-
interactive.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the one controlling this, nobody wants to fucking rape
Because
somebody.
that's always been
Yeah.
the
No
argument.
one wants
was
But
that
it's a totally different
people
thing.
get all mad
Sexual
about
violence
the violence
versus normal violence is
and-
totally different topics.
saying that watching a violent movie is
well,
one
at least
thing,
for
but
me.
playing a violent video game is that you're doing it, you're feeling it, you're experiencing the
control.
situation as though you're doing it, instead of just watching Arnold Schwarzenegger gun down 15, crazy ex-military Russians. It's they see it as different. But at the same time, this AO rating has become such a vague gray line, like how Mass Effect has sex scenes or God of War always has, topless women, and those are the things that people will just put such an X on top of that it could never be done. But they're starting to just ease into it, and people are becoming more desensitized that they do have to raise that bar to where what is and isn't okay anymore.
Yeah. Well, I feel the AO rating is a myth. It doesn't really exist. It's just there just in case. But you're right. Over time, we do. It seems like society is getting a little desensitized over a certain subject matter. However, I think if you do a mature game in a tasteful manner, it is completely acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which why in Grand Theft Auto that wasn't really a problem for me because I was
Yeah,
playing
exactly.
the character of some crazy ass
Yeah.
guy
I didn't have a
who would
problem
do
with it.
something
Yeah, exactly.
like
Like Grand Theft Auto eased you into the subject. Like you were expecting to do this shit. Like
Yeah.
they said, like when they introduced Trevor, he essentially murders an entire biker gang. Like that's the first thing you do with this guy.
First thing you see
so you know he's
is
like
him
off the hook
stomp
crazy.
a guy out in the middle of
See,
the fucking
but-
street.
Yeah.
For Grand Theft Auto, like shooting people is so commonplace, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The torture thing wasn't expected for me, but the thing is, like, I played enough Grand Theft Autos to where
That
this-
game is all violence.
this didn't seem so far fetched that I couldn't fucking.
Yeah,
like,
it fit in with the story, time, and place of the game. Like as long as
the
you.
thing is, though, there's no fucking series ever that has had some type of rape element into it to where you could get used to this happening.
Yeah,
And I don't
rape-
think it's something a lot of
no.
people will ever get used to happening.
I don't know
the
if I
thing-
would ever
Honestly,
choose
anything
to rape
rape-
somebody in a game. That
Yeah,
just sounds way
Even
too far.
in
I don't know
movies,
if
when I
could
see
bring
rape
myself to do
scenes,
that.
I'm a little unsettled.
It's always uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's
I don't
always,
want
it's
to
always
watch the
tough.
rape scene.
I
It's
mean,
not good.
like when it's taken seriously, even rape jokes, like you kind of like even if it's delivered in whatever way, and you like the comedian, like it's still kind of like it's a really tough subject.
It's not a subject that's gonna really work.
No, it never does.
I think Metal Gear Solid 5 has a big weight on the shoulders to prove, and it if this flowers out into more things, it completely depends on how they handle it.
I am okay with that aspect because it's more storyline and it's not about choice.
And you're not playing it.
It's
You're
not
playing it.
gameplay.
It's
story.
literally like a little cassette you pick up to hear someone's backstory.
I feel the way that Metal Gear Solid is delivering it, is probably pretty seamless and perfect.
It's
You don't need to.
It's tasteful.
It's not like the story's not revolving around this rape.
And
Like
you can
this
probably
rape is just this woman's backstory, and if
it
it
just
fits the
added story
character,
to the
it
game.
works.
You can
I
probably
mean,
even skip it.
They probably shouldn't have even
Well, it's
mentioned it to
probably
begin
optional,
with, so
something you can
this
find.
conversation wouldn't be happening if they hadn't even mentioned it.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
one would have noticed.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they hadn't mentioned it and gave it hype prior to this, I guarantee you not many people would have really noticed.
I think it would have come
been
up at
overlooked.
some point.
Yeah, it would have been
I
overlooked.
do think it would have come up. At
It
some
would have
point.
come up, but it wouldn't have been
would
like,
not
oh
be
my
as
god,
big
this
a
is
deal.
game breaking.
We wouldn't have time to think about it or anything. Because
Yeah.
it would have been out. We'd probably this is a fun game to play. Oh, there's a rape thing. Let's talk about
Yeah, let's move
we wouldn't
on.
have this thing.
Yeah.
So, we're moving on to the next topic. We have Steam machines. There was 13 or 14 of them. I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we
'Cause
already
they're-
kind of touched on this subject. I mean, it's really early in the stages right now. They already have some coming out.
Okay, I want to ask a question to you two, like Austin and Josh more, and then because you use your computers more than me or Kevin does.
Well, you're pretty heavy into Steam, aren't you?
I do use it, but I am not like a heavy PC gamer. Like I've been
Okay.
playing League of Legends, and then occasionally I play something I bought on Steam, like Age of Empires or something. But the thing is, when these machines were announced and everything, none of them seem like they've understood that. Well, maybe they're not even doing this. None of them are targeting people who don't have computers already. It's like if you have a computer and you use Steam, you're probably getting more newsworthy information out of this. But for anyone who doesn't have a PC, these Steam machines aren't appealing to any of us.
But what I think they're targeting is people that may not be playing on PC, but more are trying to have that like home experience where they're sitting on their couch playing on a big screen TV.
But even that, like Steam did, like this announcement did nothing for them. Like it was literally, we came out with a bunch of machines, And then they threw out spec sheets, which if you're trying to
what they've
appeal to
been-
consumers, that is not for any of them.
Well,
Honestly,
the advertisement they've had on Steam so far, like with the what is it, the Steam Big client?
picture?
Yeah, the big picture that's
Big
been out
picture.
for over a year now. I mean, that's
yeah,
great.
and they've been kind of like trying to push that towards people that
Yeah,
have
but
Steam.
This is what I feel about the Steam box. If they're gonna make a device that is technically trying to cross over into the console market, they need to have a consolidated Steam box. There needs to be just one. They can't be because basically right now all the Steam boxes is it's a
glorified
PC.
PC.
It's a glorified PC that
It's-
only runs the Linux operating system that runs Steam.
It is literally like too intimidating for anybody who doesn't
Yeah,
know anything
like-
about PCs, and that's like
Yeah, your average
that's the
consumer
market
is
they
Well,
not
they have
gonna
like
purchase the Steam
13
box.
companies right now developing Steam.
Yeah, they got every
boxes.
company under the sun developing a
Yeah.
Steam box.
Except
Anything that-
Valve? Is Valve not making
Valve,
their own?
I think
Is
they
Valve-
are
no.
developing one, but they haven't announced it yet.
they have not announced it, and I don't think
That's
they
where
will.
Valve's messing up because if they want to do the Steam box right, they have to hire a hardware like little team, make the Steam box, consolidate it into one object, and have a set price for this thing. It can't be like a piece they're trying to get away from the PC. Like I own a PC, I technically have a Steam box if
That's
I
true.
choose to have.
Valve actually probably should have grown a pair, hired somebody to do the hardware.
They need
for
their own
them,
hardware
and
development
then
team.
develop it themselves instead of
Yeah.
having all these other companies do it for them.
But
Well,
as it stands,
E3 is on the way, so it's possible they're in the works.
On a business
Could be.
standpoint, though, I understand why they did it because they're not taking a loss on any of these machines. People have paid
Oh, yeah.
them to make the machines.
Yeah.
Well, people are still going to be on the PC.
And
Yeah, they might be treading the waters right now
No,
to
people-
test and
yeah.
see which machine does the best, and then they might choose a specific design that they will stick with.
Oh,
Well, the
Put their
majority
name
of
on.
hardcore Steam players are going to still be on the PC whether or not this fails.
Well, see, the thing is, Valve isn't stupid. They don't need people to
Yeah,
kind of fill
Valve's
out
good.
they
Got
don't need
buku
people to fill
bucks.
out the field for them. They know this shit themselves. And with the consoles that have come out already, the way they're selling, like Valve has enough information to know if they want to make a PC designed for a typical consumer who might not be into PC gaming, they can do it. I believe they can do it. They're not stupid. Nothing they've done has ever been stupid, and they know this now. I don't think they're making their own version of this because they're not taking a loss at it, and it's literally free publicity. There's tons of people producing these machines, but also they're not taking a loss on it, and they're getting a name out. But this has not been marketed at all towards anyone who doesn't already use Steam.
But another thing that they're doing also, if they're getting the free publicity and like the free marketing, but they're also ruining their name if these machines don't do great. They're
agree with
damaging their own franchise.
Dude,
in a
when you're
way.
I
It's
don't
true.
understand that
It's
at all.
true.
No, it
No.
is true.
It's
Like at a
true.
business aspect, they are slightly damaging their own name by allowing their name to be on these
It's
machines
true,
that are just
like-
glorified
Not for me.
PCs.
If I buy one of these machines and I'm not happy with it, I know that I can just go back to the PC and
You
be
are
just as
PC
happy
savvy,
with
though.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
saying to the
I-
general
someone-
market,
someone
if they
like
buy
me-
this machine and they're unsatisfied with it,
To the
Valve
general
gets
market,
the bag
The
Yeah.
only
end.
people who are going to be unsatisfied with it are people that don't already own PCs or are involved with the Steam community right
But
now.
that's something that they need is to open up to a bigger market, like people like me who don't even own a PC, but are interested in Steam and want to get into that library
Yeah.
and want a Steam machine, something that won't be
There's-
too
yeah.
expensive compared to the other
There's
new
other
Well, the
consoles.
only thing I
But their
don't
cheapest
think is
one
good
is
with
$500.
that aspect is
Mhm.
that they need to put a price point to the
Developers?
no, to the oh goddamn
to the hardware manufacturers.
to the
Like
actual
Razer?
hardware on the machine
But see,
that's comparable to what PS4 and Xbox
the thing
One
is, though, they've literally marketed this as something customizable. So
Yeah.
even if you buy any of these machines, the way they've advertised it is you're supposed to be able to upgrade these over time.
like
So they're
at
still
the end of,
little PCs.
So at the end of
you
the
can
day,
actually upgrade them as
Yeah,
at the end
they're
of the day,
not
what's,
fucking standalone things.
Yeah.
You upgrade them at your choice.
at the end of the day, what Steam is saying is we don't really need our own console because if we already sustain ourselves, this is not really this is not going to really impact Valve in any way whatsoever.
No.
Besides getting their name out a little bit more, they're not going to benefit. They're not going to grow a disaster off this machine. But if they want to do a box right, they're gonna have to develop it themselves. Like,
Yeah.
this is a novelty item. This is a glorified PC in a box that has a Steam logo on it.
Steam could take hits all day, but there is nothing on the PC market that can deal enough damage to Steam to where they'll drop from first place.
But the issue,
literally,
like, sure,
there's
they
nothing.
can't go
Well, even
down,
Humble Bundle right
but
now
they can
is,
only go
another
up
big
if they do
contender,
it
but
right.
They link in with Steam.
They're part of Steam. Like, there's
They're
nothing.
not part of Steam. A lot of their sales are not part
Their
of Steam.
the biggest
But the
asset
big
they
name
have
ones,
is
they
they're linked with
do
Steam.
link with Steam.
Like, there's
Yeah, I buy
nothing.
Humble Bundle because I can link it to my Steam account.
There's
I only
nothing-
buy the Humble Bundles that I can link to Steam.
There's
If
no
I can't
market
link it to
that's
Steam, I won't
taking
buy it.
Steam down. Not Origin, not Uplay. None of that stuff
Oh,
ever
God,
can
I
do
don't like
enough.
Origin.
None of that stuff can ever do enough damage to hurt Steam.
Yeah,
like,
Steam is
in a
pretty
public
set in
eye.
stone on the PC marketplace, and
Yeah.
they're not going to go anywhere.
If you're part of the elite master race,
And that's why I think the
like,
Steam box is a cheap thing for them to do. Like, they don't have to do this. Like,
I
it's
just don't
not
think
necessary.
they've done it right yet.
No,
Like,
it's
if
not.
they're gonna do it at all, they should at least try to perfect it instead of make it. It's just a mess right now, in my opinion, and it's not needed. Like,
Well, yeah,
I don't
that's
need
true.
a Steam box.
They're
I
doing
agree, they
fine
should
on
not
their
have
own
that
on a
many
PC, and if they just, took some time and ironed things out, then they can only go up.
Yeah,
Like, if they wanted to make a controller, they could have just made a controller and marketed to as a PC controller for Steam.
Yeah, and that would have done really good.
Yeah,
Actually,
and-
they should have done that first.
And they're probably
and
still gonna
developed
do that.
controller.
They're probably still gonna do that because I think Valve actually did develop the controller.
I'm actually really excited to try that controller, though. I think
Alright.
it will work pretty good.
So we're on to the last topic of the day. How has gaming changed for you since you started? We've all been gaming for like
Oh,
More
we've
than
been
a
gaming
decade.
together for a long time.
more than a
We've
decade.
probably been
Yeah.
gaming together for a decade, and prior to that, we've been gaming longer.
15 years.
Yeah. So, like, personally, how do you think you like?
Well,
for
actually,
playing video games.
I
how
want to
have things
ask,
changed?
where did everyone's origin start in gaming? Like,
Oh,
what?
jeez.
Where did you start with?
Well, a funny story, like just some symbolism, was that when my parents, biological, were still together, we had an NES, obviously, with Super Mario and Duck Hunt and whatever, and my dad was like boss at that game. Like, he knew the turtle shell 1-up trick, and he could just run right through it, and it looked like he was hacking the game to me. I mean, I was like 6 or 7, and I was just mind blown. But of course, in some great symbolic fashion, poetic irony, or however you want to call it, my parents get a divorce, and my stepdad had a Sega with Sonic. And as if it was some great transition into this other side of gaming. Like, it was fun. I mean, I was still a kid, and I was like, this is great, but it's not Mario.
God, I miss
Like,
gaming.
it was so...
blast processing.
But how funny is that it was two different consoles?
Exactly. Like, it really, like,
The same
even
concept
at
of
that
gaming.
age,
Platform.
I saw
Yeah,
it,
jump.
like, as I
Platform,
went
but
from
back then they were
being with my
Yeah,
dad
blast
and
processing
Mario,
and
and then
Sega
I
does
switched
what
over to
Nintendo
Sega
don't.
with
Yeah.
Sonic, and it was just it couldn't have been said any better in a video game fashion. And from then, I mean, I did still, like, I don't hold any grudges to Sega for some silly reason. I love Nintendo, and just that's how I started with those, and Super Nintendo and whatever.
My first gaming experience is I remember playing Donkey Kong for one of the Atari 5600 or 5260, I believe. I played
Christ,
that,
dude.
and I remember playing a lot of the original Super Mario Brothers for the NES, and also Pinball and Popeye. Those were some of my first gaming experiences, and I don't know. I love those games when I was little. They were repetitive as hell, but I played the hell out of them. I remember when I first started growing up and wanting to play the video games, my mom used to play the games and like hand me the second player controller that wasn't even plugged into the console.
Like
And
you're a
she
baby.
called it Pretendo. And I totally ate it hook, line, and sinker when I was like 4 years old. And I played with the Nintendo paddle, and like I wasn't even doing anything, but I was enthralled by just the animations on the screen and like the fact that I was actually I thought I was controlling something that wasn't actually in real life, and I had something, and I don't know, it was just a different feeling that I've been playing with my real Ghostbusters toys. And then as I grew up, like I got a Nintendo console. Like I was always like a Nintendo guy when I was growing up. For some reason, that's what my grandparents bought me. They bought me the Nintendo, then I got the Super Nintendo. But every time I visited my aunt's house, my uncle had a Sega Genesis, and it was like going to a different world. When I go to the Blockbuster and I'm looking at the Sega Genesis wall instead of the Super Nintendo or Nintendo wall, like it was always like a special treat that I got to play that Sega. And that was my experience growing up when I learned about video games.
My start was really like slow moving in the beginning because I started with the original Nintendo playing like the original Mario, and then my parents had a friend whose daughter had the Super Nintendo, so I got to play the next level up Mario from that. And then my cousin had the Sega Genesis, and so I got to play the Sonic games on there. And then it wasn't until I got my PlayStation 1 that I really blew up because my cousin played Final Fantasy VII, showed me that. And I just fucking went off from there. A lot of my beginning was like original PlayStation 1 classic RPGs. Final Fantasy VII, Legend of Mana, Secret of Mana.
Tactics.
Yeah, Tactics. Not even that, like Shikiden or Wild Arms.
Mm-hmm.
My beginning started when I was, I think I was like 7 or 8. My sister bought me and my brother a Super Nintendo with fucking Star Fox.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Street
Oh,
Fighter.
nice.
No, Street Fighter came later. Like, alright, so we had this, and we had this console, and this was the only game we had at this point in time, because we lived in these weird, like, twin house things. When we moved, our sister bought a Street Fighter 2. And this was the first fighting game I ever played. And I was a little kid, and I was so I couldn't figure anything out. So I literally button mashed until something happened, and then I would just try to like, all right, what did I just do? And I would do that for hours. The first night we got Street Fighter 2, I pulled an all-nighter and literally played Street Fighter 2 in training mode. I don't even remember if it had training mode.
Maybe.
It might have, but I was using Ryu, and I was trying to figure out how to do an Hadouken. It was like...
I will honestly say I did not figure out how to play fighting games until I started hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, just, no.
I did not know how to do any combos until I started hanging out with you guys.
From there, we met a family friend of our mother's, and then they had a Sega, and they had Sonic. And when, like, I played my games and whatnot, but when I would go over there, it's like, this game's moving so fast, dude. And then, like, he just had all the right attitude, and I just fucking loved it, dude. He had Sonic 2, and every time I went over there, I was like, hey, hook this up, and I'd play that while my brother and him, like, hung out, whatever. I never beat that game. But it was just, like, Sega was the thing. Then I got to play Vector Man, and, like, I think I played Street Fighter on Sega too, and it was horrible. Like, there was a button to switch the 3 buttons from punching to kick
just
buttons.
ABC.
Yeah. So there was a button to switch between punching and kicking for your main buttons. So that was horrible.
Yeah, you really had to have the paddle 6 buttons to play that game.
So from there, I actually went back a bit, and I met, like, my neighbor had an Atari, so I got to play Atari over there. And then they had a PlayStation 1 modded. So they would go to Mexico every now and then and pick up a whole bunch of pirated games, come back, and I got to play like Ape Escape for the first time, like
dude, Ape
analogs
Escape
and
was
stuff.
so awesome.
That game was cool.
That game
And
was
then,
so much fun.
like, the cool thing about
why.
living in an apartment is you have multiple neighbors. So another one of my neighbors had a Dreamcast, and it just like blew my mind. Like, PS2, I'm pretty sure came out like at the time when I actually ran into this dude. But he had like Sonic Adventure, he had Shenmue, he had Marvel vs. Capcom 2, he had like
What was the James Bond game on
GoldenEye?
Dreamcast?
No.
There was no
GoldenEye was on
Dreamcast.
no.
What? No.
There was no James Bond.
That was
on
GoldenEye.
Dreamcast?
You're just
No.
thinking GoldenEye 64.
No, and even that game is bad now because the controls
Oh, it's bad
are
now,
so,
but it was
like,
so
It was good
awesome
then.
back
It
in
was,
the
it was
day.
incredible then. It was
It
the
was.
No,
FPS.
but back
It
then
was.
it was just like, my god, dude, I love Sonic, and I see him in 3D.
Yeah.
And like the bad voice acting, that doesn't mean anything to me at that time.
Not then.
So it's just like, oh my god, a 3D like Sonic. And then whenever I'd go over there, he was like 4 years older than me. He'd be like, hey, Marvel? And I was like, sure, because I just want to play video games, dude. And he'd just kick my butt. And also, it was the first time I played Ken and Spike, which is a Capcom platform brawler based around Street Fighter characters. And they're all wearing like either rollerblades or like hover skateboards and stuff. So there's Kemi, who's the game's named after, her move Ken and Spike. There's Charlie, there's Mega Man, there's Arthur, there's I said Mega Man. All right, there's a whole bunch of characters that literally
It's a part of her elite military squad.
Yeah, and you're just kind of you fight Vega, but it's the
Vega,
Japanese version, so it's called Balrog. It's called Fallen Balrog.
He looks
So it's
like
like-
Marilyn Manson.
He's like a goth version of Vega, and then like this game was amazing. All these things were so like mind blowing, and then I got a Dreamcast about a year later, and it failed.
Yeah.
It just like stopped making games,
Yeah.
and I
Oh
was
God, it crashed
so
hard.
bummed. But I love
It had
it.
its
There's still so
time.
many gems. I still own a Dreamcast to this day.
Me
Actually,
too.
like there's still so many gems on that console. Like that was Capcom's like glory days. Was
Yes.
the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
Like they have like some of the best stuff that Capcom's ever.
They
Hey,
put
it's
they
fine.
put out all their best fighters on there. Marvel 2, CVS 2,
Oh.
Third Strike.
Not only did they have their fighters, they had their beat 'em ups, they had their
Rival
like
Schools.
shoot 'em ups, Capcom had all their great classics like on the Dreamcast.
I'd say the only thing that's actually changed is my time, and I've gotten really into like the Japanese market of games, and they all take a lot of time. And the thing is, I have
Yeah.
less of that now since I have to, you have to work to pay your rent and all that stuff. So whenever I'm into games, it's like I play like like back then I'd play a game and I would just like fucking sit through it and get everything done as I could. And then when I beat it, nothing else mattered. It was over. The story was over. But now it's like thanks to the rise of the internet and everything, I know that there's so much more to most of the games I play. I feel like if I don't get it all, then I'm missing out. And then I play like one game at a time, and I don't nearly play as much as I used to when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I appreciate the games I play more than I did when I was younger. That's what's changed for me.
I used to play a lot more bad games. Just as when you're younger, like
I don't think they're bad.
you're sold
Yeah.
on a game by you look at the back of the box, or you like the cover, or you know the character and you just want to give it a try, or even you like the company and you're just like, well, I like the last game they put out, may as well. But then it's just something completely different, or
Well, GoldenEye shows that the most for me. Like back in the day, that game was awesome, but now I would never play that game. It is terrible.
yeah, but there was nothing like it. Like that was
Yeah,
one of
on
the
Game Boy
first.
Advance.
Yeah, exactly. So back in the day, that was a
Sun.
great game.
GoldenEye was, that was a great game.
That
but-
was it.
That
It was
was
much.
yeah.
It was much easier to be a good
That was the
game
start
back
of
then.
like multiplayer console shooters, like because PC's already been down that road. Like prior to that, they already had online games for their first-person shooters.
Yeah,
Like,
Unreal Tournament.
GoldenEye was the first like console shooter where you get
Even
4 of your
PlayStation
buddies
did
and like
first.
get in
Yeah.
a room and just like play that game all night long. Like
Yeah.
a lot of Nintendo 64 games actually did that. Like,
Yes.
that was like the king of 4-player.
Well,
Well,
because
that
because
and
they
Smash.
didn't need an attachment for 4-man multiplayer.
yeah, there's no
like,
multi-tap.
with
it was
Mario
built in.
Kart, Super Smash Brothers,
Smash
Mario
was like
Party.
the other big one that you could play with other people.
That was, I think that's like, I would say late N64, but it was GameCube era where they really like stood out as the multiplayer console. Because PlayStation still had a lot of multiplayer
Smash really
games.
killed it back then.
No, I really believe that the Nintendo 64
Yeah,
was
N64
their, like,
already had it
debut to
'cause-
the 4-player
Yeah.
like niche, like they stapled with the GameCube.
Yeah, but they
'cause
really
the-
like hammered the nail in when they hit the
Yeah,
game.
the GameCube like mastered what they were going for, but Nintendo 64 really like put a hammer in that idea that more than 2 people could play on this console.
Yeah, and
Why
like
say
the
that? 'Cause
SNES and the
there is a lot
Genesis
of
and the Sega
PlayStation.
Saturn, all these had 2 controller ports, and that was it. Or you had to buy some $15, $20 attachment. But then the N64 comes out and it's ready for 4 players. And it turns out that there are many people who want to have this 4-man thing instead of waiting your turn in some 6-man group or something.
4-man was actually a pretty good amount.
All right.
It was a perfect
worked
number.
well.
Stuff, multi-tap, good idea, sucked though. It just like was
Yeah.
so inconvenient. And that's where my argument was. Like, PlayStation 1 had a decent amount of games that use multiplayer. But the thing, I'm not saying a lot. I'm not saying
Not
a
a
lot.
lot.
Nintendo 64 definitely had more, but the
They
multi-tap
definitely
was so
had it
inconvenient
much stronger.
and so like not worth anyone's time, even
Mhm.
on PS2.
Yeah, even the PS2 did it poorly.
No,
it
it
just
was bad.
it felt right that it was naturally that many people getting to
Integrated.
play, and those games did it even better, like Mario Kart and GoldenEye. Just it felt so right, and it was just like in that era of going over to your friend's
Yeah.
house and just playing around. And
I mean,
God, I miss that. We can actually drag this on to the next episode. We're coming close to 2 hours here,
Yeah.
so we need to kind of wrap this up. We'll continue next week with all this.
Last
We are the
words?
Ranters. What do you got?
Last words.
Last words. Drop it, bro, and then we'll do an outro.
oh, last words to
Anybody
all
have
of
last
us.
words?
Last words. Tequila Sunrise.
That being said, with to finish off this last conversation, Nintendo set the staple for how many controllers sync to a console.
Should we
As
just
that-
do
that
the
staple.
three major, like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo next time? Like we can literally do that. Like it wouldn't be hard. You're just talking about how they've gone through their years, their impacts and whatnot.
We could totally go down
Oh, yeah.
like a
Yeah.
kind of retrospect
Retrospect.
like cast of
Yeah,
the consoles.
Rise
what they
and
brought,
falls.
and
what
the
their-
rise and falls of like the.
it's sort of what they
the
brought through the
major
years and what they're
developers.
kind of.
Because that'd be a
spinning
good
on
way to start the
Mhm.
year.
Yeah.
All right. Let's play Settlers of Catan.
We're about to go play some board games or something. I really need to use the restroom. Oh, jeez. We are the Ranters. My name is Newman Taylor.
I am Moonbeam Starchild.
Joshua Stone Chevron.
And Austin Moreno.
And we're missing one of our cast, Seth, who we hope will be here next week. We're glad you listened to this whole thing, and we hope we can see you guys next time. We don't have a catchphrase for this, so
Chowda.
Goodbye, Internet.
Hot pants.
hot pants. Goodbye.